Hare Krishna, on behalf of ISKCON of Toronto and ISKCON of Charlotte, I welcome you. My name is Lalitangi Radha Devi Dasi, and I will be your facilitator for this course. I can't claim that I have learned Bhagavad Gita, but I am into learning Bhagavad Gita since my school days for the past 30 odd years. With many teachers, with the blessings of Guru Maharaj, and I'm still learning. And as a part of my learning project, I'm trying to share with you whatever I've learned. So thank you all for taking your valuable time. And we will cover each chapter a session. And we will be today covering the introduction and an overview of the first chapter. So as all good things always begins with prayers, so we are going to begin with prayers to get the blessings of the Lord and the devotees so that we may successfully please them in this endeavor to discuss Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkrupatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So, for this course, we are going to use the book Bhagavad Gita as it is. So it's also available online. And those of you who wanted to buy the book, we can send you the link and you can buy this. So I personally like to have a copy. In that way, we can make notes and we can highlight points in our first study. And then we can continue on that, working on that. So this Bhagavad Gita is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. So there is no addition, interpretation, deletion in this. This is written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So how he happened to write this book? So this book is translated into more than 100 languages, right from Siberian to Ukrainian to Russian to dialects in Chinese, Mandarin to Spanish, all European languages, and of course, all Indian languages. So that shows this book speaks the topics that is universally applicable, irrespective of where you come from, which background you come from. So the author of this book, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he was born in 1896 in Kolkata, and when he met his guru, 1922, 102 years before, he asked him to please take this knowledge and write it in English so that everybody a language shouldn't be a barrier for anyone and everyone to access this knowledge. It's not about Sanskrit or about shlokas. It's about what is in it and what do I get from it to enrich my life and my family, my society, my country, humanity at large. So after 40 odd years, 43 years, he traveled to United States in 1965 at the age of 69, when most of us would retire. And then he wrote this based on the commentaries from previous acharyas. So that's where he did not put his own ideology or anything like that. So he has, there is a Sanskrit a shloka and a word by word Sanskrit meaning for each word. And then there is a translation. So we can see the authenticity of the translation and the word by word meaning in the Sanskrit. And how do I apply this in life? That is the commentary. So in fact, he wrote this 2 times, the whole of 700 shlokas, the commentary for 700 shlokas, and both the times the manuscript were lost. But he did not give up. He persevered and wrote again. And then it was published first in 1968. And during these years, when he wrote this, he was between 70 and 80 years of age, between 65 to 77. And he set up the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which has worldwide more than 800 temples now. Temples are cultural centers for learning. And he himself established in those 10 years 108 temples, published more than 80 books, and there were 5,000 disciples from various backgrounds. So his books are translated in 80 languages, and more than 1 billion books are sold worldwide. So we offer our respects to him and seek his blessings. So the overview of this course will be, we will take an overview of a chapter a day. So it will be Monday to Saturday, 6 days a week. It will be a little strenuous, but we want to do it at a stretch, because this is like a story, a novel. So we don't want breaks in the novel from one chapter leading to another chapter, and what is the flow in it. And then there will be a question and answer session after the end of the class. The class will go for about 1 hour. And then the question and answer could be 1 hour or even more. You can raise your hands or put the questions in the chat. So it's a recommended the pre-read of the chapter. Don't worry about the shlokas or even the explanation, the purport, but even if you just read the translations, it will, that's 3 dark lines under the shloka, those you have books, and we have also sent the online link. So even if you read that, which will not take more than 20 minutes on an average, that should help in understanding the overview better. And at the end of each chapter, a quiz will be posted in the group, and you can attend the quiz. That will help us understand how much we have grasped from this chapter. It's a simple MCQ quiz. And we will also review the chapter after the overview. And if you have any questions, you can write to the admins and put it in the chat as well. Yes, so this will be the course structure. And there are Bhagavad Gita is read by Thoreau, Emerson, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, people who made a difference in the world. So we can see that, the great scientist Einstein saying that when I see the knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, everything else seems so superfluous. And Mahatma Gandhi says that we have seen Gandhi's photo with the picture. He always finds a words to comfort him in overwhelming sorrow. That's the art of living happily, right? Ultimately, everybody's goal is to live happily. But every day there are so many uncertainties and unexpected things that come up and prop up in our life. And Bhagavad Gita equips us. This is a metaphysical science that deals about various layers of our existence, harmonizing everything with proper understanding, and also giving it, and also we can practice it very easily, being from where we are. So you must have all seen this cover page of Bhagavad Gita. There are huge armies, and there's a chariot, and Krishna is talking to Arjuna in the chariot. So before going to the introduction, we will even see why read this Bhagavad Gita. we know Bhagavat comes from the root word Bhagavan. Bhagavan means God. Bhagavat means gods. Gita is song. So God's song. Okay, it's written in a poetical form, but it speaks not only about God, about us, and about everything else that's connecting God and us. Of course, it's a holy book. It has to be kept holy, covered in a proper thing. We know that, but that doesn't mean that it should be only done like that. If Krishna has told a word for us, the way to worship the Bhagavad Gita is by intelligence. So Krishna says, those who read Bhagavad Gita worship me by their intelligence. So if by just keeping Bhagavad Gita at home, it's going to give us so much benefit because the word of God is there and that's not different from God. How much would we derive by reading it, by understanding it, and by applying it? So that's why it's not a theoretical book, but it's a manual of human life. Suppose we get some new gadget or new furniture, say you've ordered in Amazon and it's come, and there's a manual, there are 1,000 screws and other things, how to fit in that. So without using the manual, it's going to be hard to figure out on our own. So Bhagavad Gita is a friend for us. It's a manual for human life, every one of us. So it's something that if we learn the art, how to study Bhagavad Gita and how to apply it in our life, it's going to, it's like we can lead a life with a manual. Otherwise, without a manual, we are lost. So many things told by so many people, this and that, and what's right and what is wrong and what should apply to me. So the concepts, it's a custom made book, but it's a conceptual book. But when you read it, you can see that you're speaking to God. Everybody goes, has some way of worship, some way of speaking to the Lord, praying, going to the temples or in our own houses, making a prayer. But do we hear God talking back to us? This is Bhagavad Gita. If we want to hear God talking back to us, then He has already done that in Bhagavad Gita. But when I read Bhagavad Gita, it is customized to my um, circumstances. And when you read, it's customized to yours. And that's why it is transcendental and it is not unidimensional. It's a book, but it's same way a custom made book that is for our benefit, that fits our purpose. So if somebody asks you, tell me 2 lines from Bhagavad Gita, what is the crux of Bhagavad Gita? So we should be able to tell that, right? Without searching for Google or Wikipedia and answer in that. So this is a book that should be applied. So when we apply the book, then the next level, then we will learn even more deeper. Then we apply the book, then more mysteries are opened when we read again. How many times we should read the book? As many times as we breathe, or even more than that if possible. Because it's a manual and life throws so many challenges. If we don't know what is there in this book and how we can apply that, then what's the use of reading it, right? It's spoken some 5,000 years ago by Krishna to Arjuna, but it is transcendentally time tested. It is applicable even now and it will be applicable forever. So why read Bhagavad Gita? Right? Where is the position of Bhagavad Gita in the Vedas? So we know that Vedas are the manual of the world and Vedas are called Apaurushaya in the Sanskrit, which means that it is not written by any human beings. So it doesn't have the faults of the human beings. So we all have, it is mentioned in the scriptures that nobody can claim that my senses are perfect or I've never committed a mistake so far in my life. And I don't have a cheating propensity, especially in social media. Everything we buy, we do is how am I going to post in my Instagram and Facebook on how many likes we have. But what is reality may be different from what it is. So there is some amount of propensity to show, and we are also subject to illusion. Sometimes what is there, even if we see, we may tend to take something that is not there, like mistaking a rope for a snake or something like that. So whatever produced by a human being is will reflect these faults. But the Vedas, or the knowledge uh, which is coming from the Lord himself, is beyond these defects. So, is the Vedas accessible now? Yes, we all may know the name of the Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva. But what is told in that? In what language it is told? How is it applicable? You know, so there are so many compounds to the explaining the Vedas. There is Shruti, there is Smriti, there are Itihasas and Puranas and 108 Upanishads, all this to explain the concepts of the Vedas in a form that everybody can understand. So what is the position of Bhagavad Gita in it? This is also called Gita-Upanishad. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo. If all the Upanishads take the form of a cow, Dogda Gopalanandanaha, the cowherd boy is milking the cow. Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta. Partha or Arjuna is a calf who is drinking that milk. And what is this milk? Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat. So basically, if all the Upanishads, which is the essence of the Vedas, are taking the form of a cow, and the milk is the essence of the cow. So if we read and understand Bhagavad Gita, then we are getting the essence of the Vedas. It's just the 700 shlokas. But all these components of the Vedas it will fill a football stadium. That much huge amount of literature is there. But if we want to know, what is the essence of it, then when we read and understand Bhagavad Gita, we get it. So if you Google Bhagavad Gita, it says holy book for Hindus. But is it holy book for Hindus? Then there should be one word Hindu, okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the shlokas, or in any of the Puranas or Itihasas or anything. But you will be surprised to find there is no word Hindus in any of the Puranic Vedic literatures. People from the other side of the Sindhu River, when they crossed and came into India, they called the Aryan civilization, which was living on the other side of Sindhu River, as Sindhus. And then it became Hindus. And now it makes sense why it is not there in any of the scriptures. Rather, this form of science is called Sanatan Dharma. Dharma, religion cannot be Dharma cannot be translated as religion. Religion is maybe a means of faith. Today, somebody may have faith in Hindu, and then he may become converted into other religions if he develop faith in that literature, Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or a Buddhist, right? So, but this dharma does not mean that faith, which can change according to the mentality and the situations. What does dharma means? Dharma means intrinsic value of something. Okay, something that is inseparable, characteristic. For example, heat and light are the dharma of the fire. Liquidity is the dharma of the water. Heat and light cannot be separated from the fire, and there is no meaning to water if liquidity is separated, right? So dharma is something that is so intrinsic, and inseparable characteristic of the living entity. Who is the living entity? Who is Sanatana? Sanatana means eternal. There is no beginning and no end. So basically, Bhagavad Gita will describe, starting from the second chapter, that who are we? That's the first topic that is described. And it is mentioned that we are souls, the life force, we continue to live constantly. There is no end to our living. The end can be for this material body, which is like a shirt or a covering. But there is no end to the life force that is making this body live, that is ourselves. So if we see that what is that intrinsic quality that cannot be separated from every living being, be it a plant or a tree or an animal or a human being, that can be called as Sanatan Dharma. What is that? I mean, that's explained in the introduction part of it. I'm just giving you a gist that everybody, if I ask you, okay, I'll give you an island. Everybody likes to buy island and go there in a private jet, but for a vacation for a short time. But if we say that you get to live there forever, but with nobody around you, no human being, would any of us opt for it? No, because we live in a society and we our quality is to serve someone. So the family serves the family, the husband, wife, and the children. And the family as a unit serves the society. The society as a unit serves the country, like this. So everywhere there is this tendency of service. The tree lives to serve. The tree gives the fruit, it doesn't eat. The animals, even tigers, live to, we can see that, living to serve the cubs and the family members. So the other animals like cows, they live to serve themselves and also give milk to the human beings. So the service can be called as an intrinsic quality of the living being. Now we tend to serve different people and different ways, and ultimately nobody whom we serve is satisfied. Neither when some people serve us, we are satisfied because we are putting the service in a wrong place. But when we all understand that we are eternal living beings and we are part and parcel of the eternal person, and we try to serve that eternal whole from whom we are all part and parcels of children, that is called Sanatan Dharma. So this book, Bhagavad Gita, teaches us how to water the root of the tree so that the whole tree is automatically nourished. We don't see the root, but the root is the cause of the existence of the tree. So when we water the root, automatically the tree is nourished. When we water the root of this material existence, which is the Supreme Lord, automatically everyone is served and is pleased. So that's why it can be applied to any religion, right? Religion is a way to know God, to understand God's mind, and ultimately love God. So Bhagavad Gita is a science of living in a harmony with God, with nature, with all the other beings around us. So conceptually, Bhagavad Gita describes 5 concepts intertwined with a relationship between them. So first is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Controller, but we will be surprised. This doesn't start until 7th chapter. The first 6 chapters are about us, the living entity who are part and parcel of the Ishvara, and what are we doing here? How are we born? Why are we created? What is this material nature? And how does it function? That is Prakriti. Then there is something called a time factor, which is controlling all of us. 25 minutes have gone and I have still 1 hour of material to do. So we are all chased by the time. So, so that is a time factor, and that is also described in the 8th chapter. And most importantly, this topic of karma, because ultimately everything boils down to what we are doing. What are the actions we are doing? What is the action? What is the science of action? What is the science of reaction? And what actions we are supposed to perform so that we can be happily situated in this material world. So now we come to chapter 1. Before that, we'll do a short, there is a page in the book, the first a short 1.5 page summary of the Itihasa Mahabharata, which was of course has 100,000 Sanskrit verses. I love this summary because it's so comprehensive. So we all know Mahabharata, but just to set the scene. So we know Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura were brothers. Dhritarashtra was born blind. So according to the rules of the king, if the king has any disability, then he won't be able to give proper justice without depending on someone else. And that may cause a problem in ruling properly. So the niti, or the rule of the king says that if the first child born has a disability, then the kingdom goes to the second child, who's Pandu. So it is not based on birth, it is based on the qualification that we are suited to work. Then Pandu's sons were the five Pandavas: Yudhishthira, the just person; Bhima, the strongest person; Arjuna, the best archer; Nakula, the most handsome person; Sahadeva, the most wise. And then Dhritarashtra had 100 sons, starting with Duryodhan. And Duryodhan always, from the beginning, he had this comparison attitude and a lamentation and hankering, and oh my God, um, so he always saw his cousins as his enemies, as competitors. And Dhritarashtra, in one sense, coveted that. I couldn't get the kingdom. Let the kingdom that belongs to the Yudhishthira, who is the eldest of all the Kurus and who's also the son of Pandus. After Pandu's death, they all came and Dhritarashtra became the interim king. You will see this. Anybody who comes interim minister, they don't want to have that post interim. They want to somehow or other keep that. So, Duryodhan, from the beginning of his life, it is said that every day he would get up to plot how to kill the Pandavas. And every day Vidura would communicate that by signs and languages to the Pandavas. So, with their alertness, they survived their life. And this was every day that's happening. And then there was an episode of building a Yudhishthira was crown prince and Duryodhan couldn't take it. So he went and told his dad, you need to do something about it. So then they put him in they gave them a vacation house. But the problem was that vacation house it was made of lac or wax and it would immediately crumble down. With the intervention of Vidura, they were able to escape that. Everybody else thought Pandavas were dead until Arjuna won Draupadi. Then everybody knew that the Pandavas were not dead and they are alive. So they were, Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra were forced to call them and give them half part of the kingdom, which was like a desert, but which was later called as Indraprastha, rivaling the beauty of the kingdom of Indra. Then they performed a Rajasuya Yajna there, inviting everyone from the universe. Duryodhan was given the department of getting and gifts. The more gifts he received and stored, his envy burnt. Then he went back and he said that Dhritarashtra said, okay, don't worry, we will make a Rajasuya Yajna. But Duryodhan said that wouldn't make them rid of what they got. And this is jealousy. He didn't eat or sleep for 7 days. And then with the help of Shakuni, they made a dice game that was rigged. And it's like a quicksand, gambling was. So everything was kept in stake. Draupadi was kept in stake. And Draupadi was lost. And before Draupadi could ask justice that this is not proper, she was the only lady in the whole Sabha. You can imagine, even now, we can't touch anyone. We are teaching children about touches that are harmful. There, before the whole Sabha, only men, she being only lady, Duryodhana, on the advice of Karna, ordered her to be stripped naked. And I didn't get you, so you should be destroyed. So that's the mentality. And we know how Draupadi surrendered to the Lord, calling him for help, raising her hands up, and Dushasan kept pulling, and there were piles of saris that kept on coming. Then after that, so many things happened. Then they went to the forest, and even in the forest, many attempts were made to insult them, kill them, and they were tolerant and patient all throughout. After all this also, Yudhishthira and the Pandavas were on the noble path, or were on the path of Dharma. They did not swerve even a bit. So finally they came and asked for, give us we completed the deal, 12 years of living in the forest and 1 year living in incognito. And then we are back now. But Duryodhan said, I wouldn't give you a land in which I can drive the pin also. Then Krishna himself went for the peace mission. Duryodhan wanted to arrest Krishna, and then he understood. I mean, he didn't understand, but he was not successful. So, even at this point of time, Pandavas tried all peaceful methods. But now, war was inevitable. Duryodhan wanted the war because he wouldn't give Pandavas their share. And as Kshatriyas, they had to rule their kingdom. That was their duty. So then they were forced to come to the war in spite of their unwillingness to do so. So this is where the first chapter starts. So the first chapter is acronym is doubt. The first 12 verses speaks about the mentalities of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. And then what was the results about how the war actually started, everyone blowing conches, and what it meant to each one of them. And then Arjuna is asking Krishna to put his chariot, and then so many volumes of thoughts come into the mind at that point of time when he is in the middle of the two battlefield, and he is bewildered, and finally he's putting forth so many arguments, and then finally he says that I don't think I can even stand on the chariot, let alone fighting. So that is a last section. So we'll see how Dhritarashtra's, this is the first text, first chapter. Those who have the book, they can refer to it. It is after the introduction, page number 31. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjaya. Dhritarashtra uvacha. We saw who is Dhritarashtra, right? He was the father of the Duryodhana. He's saying, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre. They are all assembled to. There is a place called Kurukshetra, which is Dharmakshetra, which is a holy place. Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. All those have assembled there. But usually in this holy place, everybody assembles there to perform a sacrifice. Even the demigods, they come. But here, they are assembled to fight, Yuyutsavaha. Who are all those parties who have assembled to fight? Mamakaha, my sons. Pandavaha, Pandu's sons. And Kimakurvata, what did they do? Sanjaya, oh Sanjaya. Who's Sanjaya? Sanjaya is the secretary and the chariot driver of Dhritarashtra. And Vyasadev, Vedavyas, he said that Dhritarashtra, I would give you divine vision. Sitting in your palace, you can watch what's going on in the battlefield. But Dhritarashtra said, I'm so scared. I don't want to watch the match. Like in the last ball when they throw, people will close their eyes. I don't want to hear the failure. I don't want to do this. So he said, please, oh Gurudev, please give that vision to my secretary, Sanjaya. So how is it possible? How is it possible now that we are all connecting from various parts of the world and we are able to see each other, hear each other, and see each other with the technology? So same way, that technology was there in a much subtler form. They didn't need the screens. It will just come up in the ether for Sanjaya to look. That is a divine vision from his heart. So he started asking Sanjaya, but what did he ask? Does it make sense? So it is like this, like if we are boiling milk, that's an auspicious activity to do in housewarming. So that's a Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre. It's a holy place. And what's happening in the holy place? He is dividing. Mamakaha Pandavaha, putting lemon in the hot milk. We say, right? Dividing the family members into like making paneer. Why he should divide? Because his younger brother's children, the younger brother has passed away. Technically, he should be taking care of them as his own children. And in fact, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we will see that how Yudhishthira, every day after the war, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari was alive, until Vidura came and gave him nice dose to get out of the family, Yudhishthira would come and first offer his obeisances to Dhritarashtra. He made no distinction. But Yudhishthira makes Dhritarashtra makes the distinction, Mamakaha and Pandavaha. Like, we always have favoritism. Suppose we are in a job and we are doing an interview to fill up a post, right? There may be a candidate who is nicely fitting, but there may be someone whom we know. Okay, we might like get some recommendation or they're giving us some money. It happens everywhere. So they just take the bribe and give the things to that, and then they build a bridge, the bridge collapses. They become doctors and they do a thing on the patient dies. So we see this favoritism, okay, mine, I, me, and mine. So this was there in Dhritarashtra. And suppose I give the rasgulla to someone, and then they ask, what did they do? I mean, what will someone do if he gets a plate of nice looking rasgulla? He will eat. So how does it make sense? He's coming and asking that in the battlefield, desiring to fight, my sons and the sons of Pandus are coming together. But what did they do? Because of his deep attachment to Duryodhan, he knew what Duryodhan is doing is bad. He knew dharma prevails. But because of his attachment to Duryodhan, and he puts his ego in Duryodhan, what I couldn't achieve, let him achieve by hook or crook. Let me help him. So that is the blinded by affection, comparison. Like we always compare. If my child comes home and says, I got this much mark, before that he will say, that person has got that much mark, this person has got this much mark, that will be 2 marks less than what he has. Because he knows next what he's going to get. So this comparison comes from blind affection. That doesn't mean that we should be detached from the family, but there should be a dharma that we uphold too. When if we know what is dharma and what is right, we will have the ability to say no, whatever the cost. But he wasn't able to do so because of his blind affection. He couldn't put down in his feet. It's like this, like a baby is screaming and a doctor has to give the injection. It's going to hurt the baby, right? But still the doctor would go ahead and give the injection shot because it's going to help. But if the doctor decides it's going to hurt the baby, let me not do it. This is million times, magnified of that. Had he only stopped Duryodhan, he would have protected Duryodhan, protected his 100 sons, the death of 100 sons, and end of the Kuru dynasty at all. So he was blinded by affection. And that's why, even though he heard the whole Bhagavad Gita, you see, he's the first one asking. And Sanjaya, the last sloka is told by Sanjaya. But still, because of the affection, and he wanted something so passionately, he wanted what he wanted, not what was told. So that became like a curtain for him, stopping the flow of knowledge to him. So this is, further explained in other chapters. So when we have a prejudice, when we think that, Bhagavad Gita is this, based on what I thought and what I heard, then if you're not open to knowledge, then even if we listen to the whole Bhagavad Gita, we may not derive much meaning out of it. And he was partial, right? He knew they were, no matter what they did, he was with them. He was visibly partial, and he cannot agree that the Pandavas would be victorious at all. He cannot take it. So he's asking, what did they do? Why? Because he was having the hope against hope that somehow or other my children should win, because it's a holy place. Holy place will support the holy people. It's like the home ground pitch. Home ground pitch supports the team, the home team, right? So similarly, he's thinking Pandavas are known for their nobility, and I hope this doesn't favorably tilt towards their result. Or what if Duryodhan had a change of mind and maybe did peace with them and gave them half the kingdom? So he had a doubt, and because of this, because of all this mentality of him, he was not at peace. He was never at peace, and he didn't get what he wanted, also, neither his son. So he asked that, and immediately Sanjay understood whom he asked about Duryodhan. So he says this, Pashyaitam Pandu Putranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tava Sishyena Dhimata. So he's telling what Duryodhan did. He went to Dronacharya. And what he did? Oh, Dronacharya, do you know who is the commander in chief of the Pandavas army? It is your disciple. He learned from you and he has made this. Who is that? Is none other than the son of Drupada. He's not even telling Drishtadyumna's name because he's telling he's a son of Drupada. Because Dronacharya had a political quarrel with Drupada, and Drupada made a yajna. So from the yajna came twins. One is Draupadi, and then the voice said about Draupadi, what will she do in the future? And then Drishtadyumna. So Drishtadyumna, the voice in the sky said, he will be the one to kill Dronacharya. So he's born from the yajna for that by Drupada. But what did Drupada do? He sent Drishtadyumna, his son, to Dronacharya for learning the military arts. And Dronacharya, being a magnanimous person, he taught him like how he will teach his own son Ashwatthama. He didn't, keep any secrets. So Duryodhan, out of fear, he's pointing out the fault of his own guru. What did Arjuna do and Yudhishthira do? If you read in the beginning of Mahabharat, they removed their armor and their bows and arrows and the crown, and they walked through the army. First, they went to Bhishma Dev, offered his obeisances and asked his blessings. Then they went to Dronacharya, offered their obeisances, asked his blessings. And then they came back. Blessings to fight them only, nothing else. And the first arrow Arjuna put at the feet of Dronacharya. But what did Duryodhana doing? Finding fault with the magnanimous quality of Dronacharya. Except for Duryodhan, nobody wanted this war. But Duryodhan was so adamant, he wouldn't listen. And he's so taunting and pointing out. You see, most of the fights are because of that. If it is told straight on the face, it's fine. But we want to taunt. We want to see we know the soft spot of some person. We want to put a prick in that. So, sorry, he's saying that. And then he's saying that, he's saying this to hint that although Arjuna is the favorite disciple of Dronacharya, he shouldn't be lenient to them. And he's so afraid. He's telling all this, but he couldn't cover up his fear. Who will have the fear? Who is not certain of the outcome of the war? If we are not prepared for the exam, then that is fear. If a person is prepared, then he has no fear because he knows he'll definitely pass. He has prepared fully, right? So this is Duryodhana's attitude. Duryodhana's mentality was always comparing. And after that, he told, I have so many people in this side. They are all the kings. They're going to fight for me. And then there are many kings in the other side. They are going to fight for them. And this is how we are there. And he concludes his summary like this. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma birakshitam paryaptam tvaidam yetesham balam bhima birakshitam. Our army is protected by Bhishma. Who is Bhishma? Grandsire Bhishma. Okay, Bhishma, uh, his own guru Parashurama and could not defeat Bhishma Dev. And also he has a boon that he can be only he can leave his body at his own will. And compared to his experience and his how he has arranged, what is with respect to Bhima, he's a fig actually. Nothing. He's his great grandson. And he has everybody is protected by the balam of Bhima. So he's comparing. This is another attitude. I have this much assets, I have this, and then my children are this, I'm coming from this family, I have this, that. People may not tell that directly, but indirectly they will hint you, do you know who I am? Right? So this is Duryodhana's mentality, comparing. And then diplomacy, wanted to encourage everyone. You are good, and then he's also good, he's bad in that way. Ultimately, everybody should work for my desire. So we'll all want to be the best in the friends. So A calls to B and gossips about C, and then A calls to C and gossips about B. Make sure that B and C are not together and only A is there. And unfortunately, B also does the same, C also does the same. And this is this material world. Even Hollywood, Bollywood, Tollywood, everything is only this masala, right? So he's flattering everything, he's bragging about himself, he's covering his fear, he's insulting, he has hatred towards them. He can't control the hatred and he's jealous. Even after repeated defeats, and even after seeing them noble quality, he cannot accept it. Right? Sometimes, somebody is got some position, then we would say that he got it because of this. I didn't get it because I don't have the advantage as him. Immediately, it comes as a spontaneous response. So we learn from this. See, Bhagavad Gita starts off with this introspection. It may be common to do this. Oh, the whole world is like that. It's a survival of the fittest, a rat race. But ultimately, what we are losing is our own peace and happiness. And coming with that, mental health and physical health. So all this made him to be very arrogant. And the point of arrogance is that he never thought that he was arrogant. So then, after this conversation, Krishna, so finally he goes and tells to Bhishma Dev, and Bhishma Dev knew what his grandson wanted. So he looked at him, he didn't answer. And the shloka says he started to blow the conch. So the conch shells are blown to signal that the bell has rung or it has started. The buzzer sound has done. It's a login time. It's a time to the war has started. Basically, they can start moving the troops. It's a huge war, huge troops. So it will take some time to align everyone and start the war. So after Bhishma Dev starts, then everyone blows the conch shells. So then when the Pandavas blew the conch shell, Krishna and Arjuna, they are coming at this thing. So Krishna is as a chariot driver and Arjuna is in the chariot. So Krishna blows his conch shell, Panchajanya, Arjuna blows his conch shell, Devadatta and Yudhishthira, Nakula and Sahadeva. And then it is mentioned that all the Kuru warriors, their hearts were shattered. But when the Kuru warriors blew the conch shell, there is nothing like that mentioned about the Pandavas because they were confident of their victory. Why they were confident of their victory? This is the last shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhotir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, Yogeshwara, wherever there is Partha Arjuna, who is Dhanurdhara, who is expert archer, there will also be certainly four things. Shri, opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is whose opinion? Sanjaya's opinion. So, Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to be confident even in adverse situations in life, because we know what we are doing, we know the Lord is there. So this is the chariot of the Lord. That is Arjuna. That's described that there is Hanuman's shadow is there in the flag, and wherever there is Krishna, who's Narayana, Lakshmi Devi is also there. There is morality, there is niti, because we are all watched. Whatever actions we do, we are watched, and we will surely get the result. There is a wonderful arrangement for that, which is foolproof. Okay, it's like dabba walas in Bombay, Mumbai. Your dabba will come to you, no matter what. In 100,000 dabbas going through different, train stations and passing hands. So whatever we do, it will come to us because there is a big system behind it. So morality and power, and Hanuman on Arjun's flag also signified victory. But how did our Krishna end up as a chariot driver? He is the God who's going to talk here, right? So just before the war, both Arjuna and Duryodhan visited Krishna at the same time to ask his help. Duryodhan was thinking, oh, I have to ask help from this cowherd boy. So he's going and sitting in the, Krishna was pretending to be asleep. So Duryodhan went and sat in a chair near his head side. And Arjuna, as a devotee, he sat at the feet of the Lord, first worshipped the Lord and sat at the seat of the Lord. And Lord first woke up and saw Arjuna. Oh, Arjuna, you're here. And Duryodhan said, excuse me, Krishna, I'm here before. Okay, what do you want? So we both, that we both have come to ask for help for the fight. And Duryodhan said, since I came first, I want to ask first. But Krishna said, Arjuna is younger. Younger person gets the chance first. So let him ask. Let Arjun ask. And then Krishna said, okay, I have two options. One is myself and another is my vast army. Okay. So one of you, whoever chooses myself will not get my army, and I will not take part in the political discussions. I will not lift a weapon in the war. I will not fight for you. But probably I will clean the horses and I can be a chariot driver. Arjuna got the first chance, and Arjuna said, oh Krishna, I just want you. Are you sure? And Arjuna says, Jayatu Pandu Putranam Tasham Pakshe Janardana. I just want you. And Duryodhana was relaxed. My God, oh, I got what I wanted. This fool Arjuna, he gave it to me. I got the army. That he went to Salya, he did the same thing. He went to everybody else and he amassed. And a Deva, when he was flying, he said, looking at the strength of this army, the war will be over in 3 hours, and Duryodhana's and the Kauravas would win the war. So that is how Duryodhana was a diplomat, garnering support. All these politicians should learn from him how to get the votes. So Arjuna, so he became a chariot driver for Arjuna. And how do you think Arjuna communicated with him? He wouldn't get down from the chariot after a namaskar and say, oh, please go left, please go right. That's not how it's possible. He would kick Krishna in the left side if the chariot has to go towards the left, because there is no possibility of communication. Somebody is, putting an arrow from the left. So Arjuna had to go to left, and he indicates Krishna, kicking him on the left side, go to left. If he kicks on the right, he has to go to the right. If he's kicking on the center, he's to go to the center. This is how God serves. If we try to serve him, he serves us more. If we try to serve him one step, he takes 10 steps towards us. So although he has taken the position of a chariot driver, his supreme position as the supreme personality of Godhead was not compromised. We will learn at the end of the war, when everything was over, Krishna told Arjuna, you get down first. But actually, it's the etiquette that the chariot driver gets down first. Arjuna said to Krishna, you get down first. But Krishna said, no, no, Arjuna, you get down first. So after Arjuna got down and after Krishna got down, the whole chariot burnt into ashes. So that much was Krishna protecting the chariot. And so many places, if you read, half of part of Mahabharat is the war. How Krishna protected. So we can see the quality of renunciation of the Lord. Although he's a supreme Lord, he's willing to become a devotee of his devotee, serving his devotee. So then Arjuna is saying that please draw my chariot between both the armies, so that he wants to make a estimation of who has come to fight. That was his first thing. And then Krishna said, this is only the half of the shloka Krishna speaks in the whole of the first chapter. And he says to Arjuna, okay, come. Arjuna, just see them. So what did Arjuna see? So we saw Dhritarashtra's mentality. We saw Duryodhana's attitude. And we'll see in contrast what is Arjuna's attitude. Arjuna is crying. Why is he crying? Arjuna faced the same people in the Virata, when he was in incognito at the end of the period of the exile was going to over, he was able to face. A warrior doesn't cry out of coward eyes. But you know what? He is under deep stress because he's pulled by two things. When he's seeing them, he's seeing, it's not easy to take one death from a close family member, right? It puts us in a shock state for some time. And he's seeing the whole of the family members in different names. They've all come here willing to fight. And it's not this computer video game fight that you die and then you get the next life. You die, you get the next life, another chance. No, there's only one chance. That means either he is going to live, or if he has to win the war, it should be at the expense of there. And who are there? Is Revered Bhishma and Dronacharya. So he had choice. He had to choose between giving up his duty of fighting so that he can serve the elders, or he has to fight the elders for whom he lived to serve the whole life. So it is like he reached a dead end both ways. So if I fight, if I win also, it's a dead end. If I lose also, I'm not going to be happy. So he was not willing to face the challenge. So sometimes, like it is like if we take a butterfly in our hand, if we hold it too tightly, we may inadvertently squeeze the life of the butterfly. So similarly, we have some plans and we all have to work for it. We have to avoid distractions. But there are so many things that beyond our control. The plans may not work. It may come to a halt. It may be so many surprises. But at that time, we should not give up the willingness to continue planning, because we should see the hand of higher plan of God in that. And that's what we learn from Arjuna's mentality. Arjuna was not crying for himself. He was overcome by the fighting spirit of the relatives. He's seeing, my body is quivering, my mouth drying up. Throughout the whole of Mahabharata, you will not see Arjuna like this at all anywhere. Okay, so he's why he doesn't. He thought, and he's telling so many reasons. First thing is his compassion, not only for his soldiers, for the soldiers of the opposite party also. And then he says, even if I win this kingdom, Arjuna, Krishna, it would be at the cost of the lives of Dronacharya and Bhishma. So it is like tainted with their blood. So every time I see this kingdom, if you see a blood stain of someone, would you like to see that? I'm not going to be happy by winning this kingdom. And then it is not that he had a dementia. He forgot what happened before. What did they do to them? What did they do to his wife? He's telling that there are 6 types of aggressors. Okay, we may argue that, Duryodhan did all this. So he can be killed. But he says forgiveness is the greater quality. So why do this? They don't know what is the result of the war that's coming, and foolishly they're ready for the war. And I can see he's a far sight person. He can see ahead in the future. So he's sorry. So he is saying that, Krishna, would you fight with your grandfather and Guru? You are supposed to bring me good fortune. You're the husband of Lakshmi as Narayana, and I'm surprised that you are asking me to fight, which will bring only misfortune. And what happens? All the men are here. The elder men are dead. If they are dead, what will happen to their family? Who will protect the woman? So women will be polluted. Unwanted progeny will come. And because of the unwanted progeny, they will not think community welfare projects. So all these things he's thinking about the next generation and the previous generation, who will give them ceremony of offering them food and water called shraddha. That will also be stopped because nobody will know. There won't be any religious head to say you do this, don't do this, all because of this war. Krishna, isn't it logical? Right? It's very logical, very morally right, uh, uh, very religiously right what Arjuna is saying. And he's saying from the platform of compassion, and he has a soft heart, not only for himself, for others also. So, for such a person who has a soft heart, he is ready to receive Bhagavad Gita. Many people ask why Krishna chose Arjuna to tell Bhagavad Gita, because of all these wonderful qualities. But you can see that Krishna has not started answering it. But finally, he decided not to fight. Arjuna, Sanjaya Uvacha, Sanjaya is concluding the first chapter telling, Evam Uktva Arjuna Sankye Ratopasta Upavishat Vishrujya Sa Sharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha. It's chapter 1, text 46. And how to read this in English? In the book, in the back side, there is a Sanskrit pronunciation guide. If you see that, you will understand that it is given there how the transliteration is happening. For example, the hyphen on top of A is double A sound. So, uvacha. CA is always pronounced as CHA. And yes, on top of that hyphen is sha, right? Shoka sharam. This is sa. So like this, you'll find the methodology, how you can read Sanskrit in English. So Sanjay is saying, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So in this first chapter, we understand that what is the mentality of Duryodhana, what is the mentality of Dhritarashtra, and what is the mentality of Arjuna, and what is favorable for understanding this Bhagavad Gita. So I want to congratulate all of you for coming and taking your valuable time to join this course. Why? It is like this, like if there is in the villages, there would be muddy path. If the muddy path is not used for some time, eventually the vegetation will grow there and the path will close. So similarly, if one generation is not putting their time and effort to read this, to understand this scrutinizingly, I mean, you see, the whole Bhagavad Gita is only questions and answers. So in reading that, we are also encouraged to have questions and answers. Every line scrutinizingly, whether it's true, whether it's applicable to my life, how to do that. If we don't spend time doing this and then apply this, follow this, practice this, see the results of this in our life, if one generation doesn't do that, then this path is like a muddy path that is not used and it will be covered. The next generation, This thing is not available. Already you can see from generation to generation, moral values, spiritual values, religious values are all tremendously in the declining trend. So every one of you are here are doing a great service, not only for yourself, but for the next generation. You're paving the way. Your children, your grandchildren, everyone around you is going to take this knowledge, because we will see if Krishna has chosen us to receive this. We are 242 here. We are actually one out of 242,000 minimum. Out of thousands and thousands of people, one gets an opportunity to even think about something which is beyond the normal routine. Okay, for the mental health, now there is consciousness, awareness of mental health, because people know physically you may go to a gym, you may be very active, but if the mind is depressed, then you can't do what you can do with the body, right? So the mind is playing an important part. What is mind? What is intelligence? Who are we? So we just not only have the physical level of existence, we have mental level, we have intellectual level, and we have the spiritual level. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to understand all our existence in these different levels, how to harmonize them, ultimately how to apply them for a happy life, how to uh, encounter or bravely face the challenges as the life has to throw to us. See, Arjuna was in such a challenge. Our challenge is nothing compared to Arjuna. I don't think any of us are in a position that we have to kill our own children or the family members, and he had given up. Okay, overwhelmed with grief. So then this ends the first chapter. So the second chapter, stay tuned to see what Krishna is telling. Beyond this, is there anything beyond this that's morally sound? Okay. This dharma, isn't it the best of all the things? The Arjuna is the a crest jewel of the Pandavas, the model warrior, the saint, and the far thinker and everything. Did he miss anything? Stay tuned to listen to the second chapter. I only have one humble request. You all signed up for this 18 days. Please, please, please come for this 18 days. Please see it yourself. After that, we are not going to force you that you'll have to take level 2, level 1. We will go in depth with shlokas and translations, and we can teach you how to learn the shlokas by yourself. So all those things in the next level 1 course, but at least this 18 days, give yourself to the Lord. It's not that you have chosen this or I have chosen to dedicate my time. It's not me and you. We have been given this opportunity by the Lord. So we are only one part of the 5 factors for any action to happen. And even if you're not going to continue this course, but this 18 days is going to remain etched in your subtle body, in your soul, and it will come life after life. And there are proofs for that in Srimad Bhagavatam as well, how this knowledge is carried even when the soul goes into an animal body. So thank you all so much for your valuable time, and I only wish stay tuned for the next chapter. We will try and keep it in 1 hour, and then we'll open up for questions. So coming to the last part. So Arjuna had all these well-wishing qualities. He had compassion. He was not a go-getter. He wouldn't sacrifice his moral value for material benefits, and he wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about the society and the future generations as well. And he was having a mind confused and sad. Actually, if we are confused, then we are the right candidate for Bhagavad Gita. If we want to know something else, right? So that is a summary. And the book, if you've gotten the book, this is how the book is designed. So this is the Sanskrit shloka, and that is written in English. How to read the shloka with the proper pronunciation, this is in the Sanskrit pronunciation guide. before the appendix at the end of the book. And each word, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, means King Dhritarashtra said, Dharma Kshetre, in the place of pilgrimage. So each and every word, the synonyms are given, the translations are given, and the purport. So a lot of scholarly work has gone into this for giving us the knowledge as it is. So thanks to Srila Prabhupada. And so this will be the MCQ, very easy quiz. If you have the book, you can mark the shlokas that we are reading in the class. It will be good to read the translations. And if you have any questions reading the purports, you can mark them and you can send it in the to the admins, and we will take it up in the next session to answer. And this is a very easy, kindergarten level of MCQ type quiz, only basic concepts. So there are answers also given there. And the quiz completion is recommended for course completion also. And also those who have completed the quiz, if you like, you can join the level 1 course. So we are very thankful to all of you for attending this, and we will finish with the prayer again. So we are very thankful to the Lord for this opportunity, right? I mean, this kind of knowledge, if the Lord didn't give us, you can imagine, how will we get it? So how can we thank the Lord? So we will just chant this Maha Mantra, the great chanting for deliverance, as a note of gratitude for the Lord. You can all do it in mute. So we will chant 11 times at the conclusion of each session. So the meaning of this mantra, it has 3 root words, Hare, Krishna, and Rama. Krishna means one who is all attractive because of his wonderful qualities, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rama means one who is all blissful, who is very pleasurable. And we can see that, Lord Ramachandra is installed now, beautiful, who gives pleasure. Hare are their concerts, they are internal energies. So the meaning of this prayer is, oh Lord, oh the supreme energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. So with this prayer in the heart, let's chant this 11 times as a token of gratitude for the Lord for letting us touch a little bit of the overview of the great nectar that he has given in the first chapter. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Sri Ram Lalla ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you so much for your patient listening. So you can raise your hands if you have any questions. Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna, Ravleen. Ji, thank you. So you can unmute and ask your question.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much for your class. It was beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Um, there are so many points, so many questions. My mind is like going thousand miles. But the first question I want to ask is something you said in the beginning. If you could elaborate a little more, it was so beautiful when you said that when we read Bhagavad Gita, we actually understand lessons for our own lives and based on the experiences of our own lives. So it's very custom to all of us. Could you
Okay.
elaborate that a bit more? Thank you.
Okay. So it's like this. Say, I'm still learning Bhagavad Gita, and the the one reason I wanted to do this service, ISKCON Toronto and ISKCON Charlotte has kindly given me this service, is that when I prepare for the class, I'm reading the whole chapter, and I'm reading in that, and then I get the answer for something that I'm pondering about. It's like this. Uh, if you're a mother, your children, like especially now, they're so much into games and other things. We know that they're hungry, okay, but they don't want to admit it, and they still play the games. But we interfere and say that no, you're hungry. You you first eat. Eat food. So we are all like children to the Lord. What we are hungry for so many things in the mind, in the emotional level, in the mental level, in the intellectual level, and the Lord as a parent is addressing it, even though we are like engrossed in our own games that we have set up in around. So this is a practical experience for anyone and everyone who has read this Bhagavad Gita, right? We saw Gandhi's quote. Every time I open the Bhagavad Gita, at the time of overwhelming sorrow, I find the words to comfort me, that which I need it at that point of time, and then I can apply it. So that's how it is not just a book, it's God Himself. Because He is present there in our heart as Paramatma, and He can make us understand what He talks according to our situations. Maybe I'm reading the same chapter and you're reading the same chapter, and we are in different situations, and our problems are different, but still our answers we will derive from this. So that's the art. But to get the answers right, we should study it in a proper way, right? We should study under a teacher who has studied under a teacher who has studied under a teacher. Like that way, the succession of teacher student should reach to Krishna. Then it is the same as how Arjuna is talking to Krishna. We also get the same benefit. So I'm not going to put my own interpretation in it. So I'm just going to tell what I listened and not only parrot repeat up to what I can realize. If the same course was taken by somebody else, are definitely more realized than me, they can touch your heart more well, more deeper than me. But up to what I can realize, up to what I can practice, I am allowed to share. Is that okay? Okay. Gayatri Mataji, you can unmute.
Hare Krishna Mataji, the session is really beautiful. Thank you so much for the wonderful session, firstly. And I'm parallelly reading with you in Telugu, actually. I started reading today as the session commences today. My question is, after each sloka, in the bottom, we can read for each sloka meaning, the meanings are written, right, in the bottom. Kim emi labam nam maku, kind of. So, are we supposed to read that one, or also we can skip and get the tatparya in the bottom? How that works actually?
Yeah,
If
yeah, thank you. Initially, you can read that. That's called translation in English. See, first you have the slokam, and there is word by word meaning, right?
yeah,
You can skip that word by word meaning, and you can skip the shloka also, because if you are not so much into Sanskrit, it may be it's not a big science, but initially to do it on your own, it may take time. But what I would recommend is you can read only this translation. If you have time, that will only take you 20-25 minutes. But if you
Okay.
have more time, you can read the Tatparya or Purport also, and then you can come up with questions.
Okay. I'm able to read the slokas even because I usually read it in puja. Like it's not that hard, but a few of the meanings are hard. Might be I'm pronouncing it in a wrong way, I believe. But when I get used to it, probably it will be more easy, I believe. But I'm
Yeah,
trying to read at least to get to understand. Yeah. Thank you
that's
so much,
great.
ma'am, for
That's
clarifying.
great. That's great. Don't worry about pronunciation. It's like our children, when they start to speak, they don't speak. The others cannot understand what they speak at all, but the parents can understand, and they're so happy. My child is starting to speak, right? So similarly, in Krishna's eyes, we are all children trying to read Bhagavad Gita, and he doesn't care about our pronunciation at all. He only cares about that we have taken an interest to read and understand.
Right. It's all Krishna's wish again. The Lord Krishna's wish to get it, learn from you all. Actually, it was a great opportunity for us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So anybody else has any questions, please don't feel shy. We have another half an hour for addressing questions. You can ask any questions. It it may not necessarily be in the class or concerning this topic. You can also type the question in the chat if you don't want to ask. Yeah, just Nupur Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for the class. In the last slide, you would posted the quiz questions and I missed it.
It
Um,
will be posted in the group. You're in the
okay,
group, right? So it
yeah,
will be, the link will be posted in the group and you can attempt the quiz.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for this opportunity, and it was an amazing learning. I just do not have any specific question to the today's teaching, but as I also have my mother joined me in this session, so as she doesn't understand English, so we are also looking if there is any e-course available in Hindi
Mm.
for her.
Yeah, I will get back to you on it. I have a friend from Noida here, so I can ask her. And also, there are other, I know from ISKCON Mangalore, they do a course in Hindi. So I will try and send a link also, which is also repeated once in 2 months. We are planning to repeat this course once in 3 months at least, if Krishna willing and permits, in English. And so if you can if you can message one of the admins in the group, so we will send you the details.
Also, I have one more question. Where the link will be shared to buy the Bhagavad Gita
Where are you located now?
in Vaughan.
Sorry,
In Vaughan?
in Canada?
Yes, in Canada, in Vaughan.
Vaughan, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so
There is a
we,
ISKCON temple in Toronto.
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
ISKCON temple in Toronto, and we have sent the details of all those who wanted the book to the a respective person in the who's in charge in the Toronto temple, and hopefully they will soon reach out to you. And also, please, you send a message to the admin. There is a link that you can, from ISKCON Toronto website, you can buy the book online also.
Okay. Okay. We'll do that as well.
Yeah.
Again, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Prashant Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hi, good evening, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much
Good
for this
evening.
class. I just want to quickly add a comment to the previous person. What you can also do through the website is join the WhatsApp group for ISKCON Toronto. And if you need to purchase a Gita post there, the admins are fairly active, so they could probably get you a copy.
Oh, that's great.
So if you're based in Vaughan, one way to keep in touch with the ISKCON Toronto Temple is to join the WhatsApp group. I think the QR code for the group is posted on the website somewhere. So, or you can just email them and they'll probably send you the link to it. But check on the website. There's a WhatsApp group QR code posted.
Thank you so much for that information. Thank you. So we have a question from in the chat. Can you explain more what the definition of a supreme personality of Godhead is? It's a very nice question, but it's a very deep answer. We know what is supreme means, right? Supreme. If you look at the dictionary meaning of God, the supreme source of power from whom everything emanates, like that. But we usually tend to think that it's a source of power and light, but actually it's not just a source of power and light. Although being the source of power and light is a part of the Supreme Lord, he's also a personality like you and me, whom we can see face to face. Okay, and Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead is like this. There is a highest authority who has a say in a government, right? There are so many people who have authorities over different portfolios and other things, and they bring out some topics, but there is a one person who's supreme in that, who's the highest authority. So there are so many controllers, right, with different portfolios of taking care of the universal affairs. Even a normal government, it's not that the king or the head of the government is personally present there. There are so many ministers, and there are so many staff and workers, and up to it's a whole tree of management, of hierarchy, right? So similarly, there are so many uh, managers for this universal management, which we will study in detail in the 9th and the 10th chapters, in the concept of Prakriti. But of all of them, there is one supreme person, and that's why he's called Supreme Personality of Godhead. A conglomeration of so many powerful personalities who have power over different portfolios, who are engaged in the universal management as a service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's technically the translation of the word Bhagavan, but it hints that he's not just the source of light, but he's a sweet personality. But one thing different is that he doesn't have a body like us. We will read about that in the 4th chapter in detail. His body is full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, and it's not controlled by birth, death, old age, or disease. We'll never see, Krishna sick and taking a fever tablet anywhere, mentioned anywhere, or he has grown old that he cannot fight anymore, like that. So we will look into it in detail in the 4th chapter. I hope that's okay. Anybody else has any questions? Gayatri, Mataji, do you have another question?
Yes, ma'am, actually. So one of our members asked you about the Hindi part, right? Getting it Hindi translation or Hindi sessions. So I would like, being originated from Telugu, I understand, still I understand what are you telling and what's the meaning and all. But still would like to learn in a deeper perspective in terms of the shlokas and the meanings, and to get it in a regular practice. Is there a way wherein you show some path to me?
In Telugu, right? Please send a message to the admins.
Okay.
So we will try and reach the link to you in couple days.
Okay.
Ma'am,
also, I have one more question. So we women usually get periods, right? I mean, if we get periods in this span of 18 days course of Bhagavad Gita, are we supposed to listen and uchar all the chantings that you are doing along with you? Like, is it?
Yeah, in fact, Draupadi, when she was disrobed, she was also in her period.
Okay.
So she called out Krishna so that he gave the help. So reading and chanting the holy names of the Lord can be done. This contamination is only for the body and not for the soul. So this knowledge, what we are reading, is directly goes to the soul. And of course, in period time, we don't personally engage in personal seva to the Vigraha form of the Lord, like cooking or puja, because that engages our physical, presence and the thing. So that is not recommended. That we don't do. But reading and japa, the chanting, is supposed to be done.
Okay, but we can still hold the books and read. That's
Yeah.
what. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but don't keep the book back in the puja room. So that's what, this book, if you had purchased, it's not necessarily to be meant in the puja room. It can be in your bookshelf. So because this is something that we are going to refer every day. In fact, Bhagavad Gita book should be most used, that the pages should crumble very soon and we should get a next copy. Because you know what? It's practical. If there is nothing practical, Krishna spoke to Arjuna, who was confused 5,000 years before in the battlefield. In the battlefield, he spoke this in between the battle. So this is of most importance, right? More importance. But if we don't apply it, if we don't take what is in it for me, then it becomes ritualistic, and it's not. That's what I thought Bhagavad Gita also. I would run away from Bhagavad Gita before, unless, I attended a course like this. Then I thought, oh my God, this is so nice. I mean, this kind of knowledge I don't get anywhere. How to deal with myself, what am I thinking, what am I feeling, and when I see some disappointments, how to relate with that, and how to be actually happy. I have a goal in life and I have a final test to face, but I'm preparing for the final test, and I'm preparing in a way that it gives me meaning to my living, and I'm doing it in a very happy way. So that is what is my inspiration to continue read Bhagavad Gita and share to others as well, as much as I can.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the detailed explanation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else has any questions? Please don't feel shy. You can ask. You know what? In this 18 sessions, you will get an overview. I'm not going to, of course, it's not possible to cover each concept, because each shloka has so many concepts. And there are acharyas, each word from each shloka, there are 1,000 meanings, 1,000 meanings. Okay, so we are only going to see the flow, how the first chapter leads to the second chapter, how the second chapter leads to the third chapter. And this flow and overview will get us comfortable with the book. Okay, this is the flow of the book. I know this is there in this chapter. Then I can go to the next level. So I encourage you to ask more questions. That way you can understand. Okay. I have a question. From spiritual perspective, where we will be once we read and understand Gita. From spiritual perspective, we will be in the same place doing the same thing, but our consciousness would have changed. For example, when we are getting into a aeroplane, right? We are about to fly. When it's going on the runway, you see the big buildings of the airport, and also the buildings around. The buildings are taller than where we sit on the airplane. But once the airplane starts taking off, and then you see the buildings are of the same size, but they become for us smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and becomes non-existent. So Bhagavad Gita elevates our consciousness with a purpose in life. And so the problems that we thought was overwhelming and so big, and this thing, it becomes small, although it's the same. Bhagavad Gita elevates our consciousness. So we will be in the same place, but with a spiritually fulfilled consciousness. That hollow, that vacuum in the heart, that will be filled from this Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so let me take this question of Danny G. Can you please unmute?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
thank you for the
Thank you.
class. I have a few questions. First, can you just elaborate a bit on the holiness of, the Kurukshetra? Why was it considered holy? That's one. Number two is, why did Krishna put Arjuna in that position of where he was overwhelmed, feeling grief? I mean, if he didn't feel that emotion of grief, we wouldn't have Bhagavad Gita in a sense, right?
Exactly.
And
Thank
thirdly, for the essence of this chapter, what would you say was the most significant, or
Thank
the
you.
theme? Like, if, for example, chapter 2, it's like we are not the body, right? But for this chapter, what would you conclude as the most important message?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And I missed to tell about this in the class. And so this is Krishna working. I can see that. So thank you for bringing up this question. So Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. Kuru is a powerful king who was in one of the forefathers of the Dhritarashtra, the Kuru dynasty. Basically, he was so powerful, he was so pious, and he was so well known, and he was known for doing his so many sacrifices in a place that the name of that place became Kurukshetra, because this is like our vacation house or a family get together. We have a vacation house where all the family comes and gets together there. Then that vacation house gets a family name. So similarly, Kuru the king spent most of his time performing huge sacrifices in that place, and that made the whole place holy. Because you see, you can feel this vibration in the places where people meet for worship, whether it be church or temple or mosque. The vibration is different. As soon as you enter, there is a peace. Everybody feels the peace and calmness, because everybody coming there is trying to connect to God in one sense, open up their heart. So that fills the ether, and that makes the peace. So that is a reason for the calmness and the peacefulness of which can touch our heart. So similarly, that Kurukshetra is a place where Kuru the king used to make so much sacrifices that it became a Dharma Kshetra, or the holy place. So second question is, why would Krishna put Arjuna in this predicament? And you rightly said, actually, I forgot this point. This chapter, in one sense, one Prabhu said, this is the most important chapter of Bhagavad Gita. As you said, this chapter, if not for this chapter, there is no rest of Bhagavad Gita. In that sense, this is a foundation of Bhagavad Gita. So why did Krishna put that Arjuna in that predicament? So that Arjuna would ask questions and he can answer. So Arjuna is not a kind of a person to be confused like this, especially being a close associate with the Lord. But it was the will of the Lord to give us this knowledge through Arjuna. It is like this. I mean, in a family, when a newly married daughter-in-law comes, and then the mother-in-law is there, and the daughter is there with the mother-in-law always, the mother-in-law has to communicate something to the daughter-in-law. She will use her daughter to do that, because she's in close, she knows the daughter knows the mother. So she will use the daughter to tell indirectly the daughter-in-law. So we have in one sense forgotten the Lord, but the Lord has not forgotten us. So it is his transcendental plot to use Arjuna like Arjuna is like a daughter, and give us the message. So Krishna is showing his compassion by making Arjuna a little bewildered. And the third question, what is the essence of this, is we introspect and see what is this chapter tells that what is the qualification one has to cultivate to learn the concepts that are there in the further chapters. If we have an outlook like Arjuna, then it's easy to understand. If we have an outlook like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, then we are engrossed in what we want, So even if we hear, it doesn't touch the heart. And naturally, all of us are a mixture of all the three, right? We can't say that I'm like Arjuna completely, or I'm like Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana. So this first chapter prepares our heart, just like you plow the field, okay, before sowing the seeds. So it prepares our heart to introspect and to see, where am I in this? I mean, what can I learn from this? And also, being confused about life is not a disqualification, is in fact a qualification to understand. If there is no confusion, if we are all perfect and happy with what is there in the material life, then Bhagavad Gita is boring for us. But if we are looking out for something beyond the normality, to fill up the hole that is there in the heart, to put all the pieces of puzzles together, so many questions: who am I? Why am I born here? Uh, what is my purpose in life? And what is karma? How is it acting? And will I continue to exist after death? And am I acting only like a puppet on based on the karma, or do I have free will? So all those things in nuances are explained in the chapters further, provided we are confused enough and have hunger enough to get the food. A feast can be kept, but if I'm not hungry, then I will not take the feast. So first chapter makes us enoughly hungry to take the feast that's coming up in the later chapters. Hope that's okay. If you have further questions, you can ask Prabhuji. Pitambar Prabhu, would you
Hare
like?
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All worship Prabhupada. Dandavat pranams.
Dandavat pranams to you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful initiative for the benefit of all. It's a beautiful initiative. It takes a lot of hours, efforts, and it's like we acting a postman. What we listen from acharyas, we pass it on to others. So again, accept my obeisances for this wonderful initiative, Mataji. Since we are on the first chapter, Mataji, I just wanted to ask you. Many times I say in our internal discussions of Bhagavad Gita that attachment is the root cause of all miseries. I repeat, attachment is the root cause of all miseries. And chapter 1 is very relevant for that. So if you can give us some practical implications, say for example, like we bought a new car, brand new from the showroom, and little scratch by the neighbor's boy. So, oh my God, this scratch, but so what? It's just a piece of metal, don't worry. Or we have got a new iPhone, it broke or lost. Oh my God. So what, So in that context, Mataji, if you can throw some more light for the benefit of me as well as everybody else listening, that how does attachment becomes the root cause of misery? And this I'm asking in view of the Dhritarashtra. You already explained having attachment to his son Duryodhana. Please explain, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I know that you have studied Bhagavad Gita many times, and in your humility, you are attending this course again. And as you rightly said, it's like out of all is benefited, it is me, because I'm reading it again, and I'm very grateful for this, and it's purifying every time we read it. So it's true that attachment is a root cause of misery, and attachment is like this. If the nail is coming out of, then that's a dead cell that can be cut. But if the nail that is connected to the flesh, if it has to be removed, how difficult it is, right? So similarly, we are attached, intertwined with so many things in this world. It is easy theoretically to say that, but how we can actually, and it is not possible to get rid of this attachment, but it is possible to dovetail this attachment so that we are not implicated. For example, there's a shloka in Bhagavad Gita that attachment, in Bhagavatam, attachment is the root cause of misery. But the same attachment is turned towards the Lord and the spiritual teachers, acharyas, who are giving the message of the Lord, then that leads to liberation. So we definitely need a car, we definitely need a phone, we need a family, everything. But when we try to use it in the service of the Lord, and we understand that these things are given to me by the Lord. Of course, it can come through karma. We will see that in the 13th chapter in detail. So the Lord is the actual proprietor. Isha vashyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magrida kasya svidhanam. So the purpose of being happy among everything is because it's not practical for us to run away from our work, from our family, from so many other things. But we can be in this and change our mentality of using everything in the service of the Lord. So when we try and do that with baby steps, then slowly attachment to the Lord develops. Because we don't know how to be detached, but we know how to be attached. So we can do things like, for example, attending this Bhagavad Gita increases our attachment to the Lord. We want to love the Lord. Before we want to love the Lord, we should know who is Lord. And so that's why we are taking time to know about the Lord and time to know about what He says and how, and then follow the principles. Because before love comes following. I can't slap my spouse and then say, I love you. So we can't do things that God doesn't want us to do and then say that we are loving Him. So it's a gradual process, but we can see the result like the waxing moon. Day by day, we can see the result that how our as and when our attachment to spiritual things grows, our material attachment automatically dwindles. This is something from something little, but we are dealing with the attachment more in the 15th chapter. Krishna speaks also in the first 5 verses about the inverted banyan tree. Hope that's okay, Prabhuji. We'll take it in little more detail there. Thank you. Prashant Prabhu, you have one question?
Yes, Hare Krishna once again. So one thing I'm trying to understand is, and maybe this will be addressed in a later chapter, but how does, I guess maybe we don't know the answer to this, but how does Krishna justify, at least to himself or to Arjuna, the slaughter that's about to happen? All these other people who are going to die, we know they're going to die probably in very horrible ways. It can't all just be to teach Arjuna a lesson. I mean, the cost of the life, is it because he knows something about the nature of those lives that we don't?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. So stay tuned. I'm not going to open the suspense. Tomorrow, in the 2nd chapter, he starts off explaining a concept that is going to make this, because that is the question of Arjuna too. How can this horrible killing be a karma or be an act of service to the Lord? So he's going to start off telling who we are and what is karma. At least this to understand how this killing can be justified, we need at least 3, 4, 5 chapters. When we cover that, we will understand a little more. But to tell in short, it's like this. Is the veterans or the army men, their sacrifice justified?
Within certain context, yes, I suppose.
Because if there is no army, what will happen to army men are some percentage and they're ready to sacrifice their life. They choose that career and they go there and they know if they go there, they might live or not live. And that's why government gives so much perks to the army families who are ready to take up that career of sacrificing their own life for the benefit. If there is no army, then anybody could come inside and the whole country will be in chaos, right? So for billions of people's safety, few people have taken up that a service of giving their life, and that is justified when compared to what it gives. So we will see how Krishna is telling Arjuna that you fight Arjuna, but you will see that you will not be implicated by the sinful reactions of the fight. And basically he's telling you're not killing anyone at all, because everybody is a spirit soul, and this is happening for dharma. That's the justification.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Gita as a tool, deal with the life. Office is some percentage of it. So sure. Ethics and value with backstabbing, sneaky people. So this world is like that, especially in Kali Yuga. You can see, we saw that, right? Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra were backstabbing. They didn't have any ethics. They disrobed the wife in the. Will it happen now? No, it will not even happen now in this Kali Yuga, 5,000 years, disrobing a daughter-in-law of the family in front of everyone family. So they were backstabbing, they were doing everything, but that didn't stop the Pandavas from following the dharma that they were taught. They did not even for a minute think bad about them, that they should die. See, that's the point we are thinking. Arjuna is not thinking they have done enough to me, so they should die. No. So just because this world is filled with people of backstabbing, sneaky people, we don't want to be one among them to justify that. Because every action is going to be watched, and there is a reaction for it. And how could people with ethics live? People with ethics live like Narada Muni tells this example, like a snake. He told the snake that don't uh, um, put poison on anyone. So the village boy started taking advantage of the snake, beating it and taking it and throwing it like that. The next time Narada Muni asked, "Why are you like this, so skinny?" He said, "You said you don't sting anyone." Then he said, "I didn't tell you not to show your hoots, right?" So showing hoots is something, and stinging is something. So we don't need to be trade the values of dharma of the people who are adharma. Let them do whatever they want. But Bhagavad Gita is not asking us to be a sadhu, silently, taking up the torture of others. So there is, we can act when it is required to act. See, Arjuna did not want to act. Arjuna wanted to forgive and go. But Krishna said, no, violence is required when the cause is justified. Hope that's okay. So we still stick to our ethics, but we follow our plan because we know everybody is individual. We are going to get the result of our work. We stay diplomatically away from the backstabbing, sneaky people. Actually, if this Bhagavad Gita gets into the head, the gossip will not get into the head. It's like this headphone has a noise cancellation. We will have noise cancellation, and that noise will die down. We can see. Yeah, that's a good answer. Okay, yes. So we are. So that will how dealing with the hell, because it's a rat race everywhere. Okay, we will hear about it in the 13th chapter in detail about karma and about how much some person can get, why one person is putting less effort and getting more results and the other person is putting more effort and getting less results. When we understand the intricacies of this, then we will not be bothered if somebody else gets what we wanted. So we will develop that. It's not that we are not go-getters. We are not successful people in life, but we know our limits. We know how much to work for, what to get, what is worth putting time for. That is the art we will learn from. Because this is not, we've got a human life. We are not just animals. Animals, if you take them, 4 goats to the slaughterhouse, the 5th goat will sit, see the other goat being slaughtered, but it will not feel. But if you take 4 human beings are slaughtered, the next person will understand I am the next person and he'll run away. So we have got a special prerogative as a human being, human life, to use this human life for understanding so many things that is told in Bhagavad Gita. And so we need time for that, and we do that parallelly with our work and family responsibilities. In fact, Arjuna was, Grahastha. He was a family man. He was young. He had responsibilities, and Bhagavad Gita is for him. So it's better we take the Bhagavad Gita as young as possible so that we can lead a meaningful life. Okay, I think, did I miss any question from the chat? Okay. So we will not post the recordings. We are working as a team in the India group also. So for those of you who have missed the session, you can request the admins, and we don't want you to miss the session, because we have had experience that when we post the recordings, then people will say that, okay, I will hear the recordings, and then finally they don't hear the recording, neither come the class. And after 2 classes, after 2 chapters, although each chapter concepts can be understood individually, it will help in a great way, because he's building our knowledge and understanding from one to another. So our main request is not to miss the classes, and please come. You don't need to stay for question answers. After the overview is done, you can log off, unless if you have a question or you want to hear. That's optional. But at least that 1 hour and 10 minutes, please, I request everyone to attend every day. Okay, so there are no questions, and we are 1 hour in the question answer session. And thank you really so much for your time and patient listening, and praying to the Lord that we may continue with chapter 2 tomorrow. It's the basics of the rest of the chapters. So please come here. Don't miss tomorrow's chapter. Please, if you have anything else, you can put it, but tomorrow is the basics of the rest of the chapters. So hoping to see every one of you. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So ending the call here.